It's so hard to say goodbye to Reggie Fils-Aimé. Yeah. Hey up, fools! Big T here, and I'm back with another video, and this video is a sad one. Yes, everybody knows by now, because everybody already did a video on this. Reggie is retiring from Nintendo, just in general, I guess, and he will no longer be the Reginator, the president of Nintendo of America, and it really sucks. So we've been kind of trying to figure out, like, how do we feel about this? Obviously, it's not an Iwata situation where he passed away in the job. He's just, retired. He's ready to move on with his life. He's been at Nintendo for quite some time, and even though it doesn't feel like it's been that long since he decided to kick ass and take names, but here we are. It's been 15 years, something like that, and I understand that 15 years in a corporation, no matter how good it is, it's time to move on. So that happens. But I want to talk about kind of a different angle that I feel like people haven't really touched on, and that's kind of what I like to do. Sometimes I'll sit back and see everybody videos about a big major thing that happens and try to decide to where I want to go, because I always want to do it different, because there's so many people kind of talking about the same thing. They put up the different Reggie quotes and the different Reggie videos and all that stuff, which is fine, but I like to try to come at it with a different angle. My angle is, what I call the Triforce, and I feel like the Triforce has taken another hit, the Nintendo Triforce, and I'm talking about Reggie being the Triforce of power. Obviously, he's a powerful presence. This is just a play on the different Triforces and what they mean, and I'm trying to tie them into Nintendo executives and whatnot. So Reggie would be the Triforce of power. Iwata was the Triforce of wisdom, and the Triforce of courage to me would be Miyamoto. And so I'm gonna explain them as best I can and try to fit them into this kind of quirky narrative, if you will. I think Iwata is probably the easiest. The Triforce of wisdom. He was wise. He had been around Nintendo for a long time. He was a gamer, a game designer. So he had that wisdom as the president of Nintendo. That's kind of what we lost with him. It's very rare to have someone who leads the company be like that invested in the product itself, having been a designer. He always talks about how he was a gamer in his heart, so he was a different kind of stiff suit, if you want to call it. His wisdom, I think, touched gamers in a different way that most corporate types wouldn't do. It was sad when he passed, because of what he meant, and his personality as well. Again, not too many corporate heads have that personality that the gamers of the lovers of that company or the franchises or whatnot attach themselves or see themselves bonding with the stiff suit, because Iwata was not just that. And so if you want to move on to the Triforce of power, like I said, this is all stretching, but like I said, Reggie is an imposing, kind of a powerful presence, and he brought that, that flair, that flame to Nintendo that it really hadn't had up until that point. I guess you could say Hiroshi Yamauchi had fire, he had flair, but it wasn't the same as Reggie's. He's a personality. Another one of those stiff suits that he would do quirky little skits, and obviously he did videos and he did Nintendo Directs and stuff like that, and him and Bill Trennan would mix it up, and they always had funny little skits together. It was a great personality mix that made you more endeared to the stiff suits, and so that's why I said he's the Triforce of power. He was that force. And the Triforce of courage, to me, is Miyamoto, and he's kind of the last Triforce left. Now, other people can step up and take over those Triforces. I think Koizumi could maybe step up at some point and take over the Triforce of Courage, but when Miyamoto retires, which will be a super sad day. So Miyamoto, I call him the Triforce of Courage because his way of designing games and his thinking, as far as how he approaches hardware and software gameplay, is courageous. Because people look at stuff that he's done and say, oh yeah, of course that is going to be popular, that's going to be this or that. But there's no guarantees when you're thinking outside of the box. There's no set plan for that kind of stuff, and that's why I said it's courage. It takes courage to think outside of the box, to do things against the norms. And to me, Miyamoto epitomizes that. Now, it's not always great when Miyamoto or Nintendo does that stuff, but I value them doing it, trying to do it. And like I said, so I feel like that's courage. And I feel like Miyamoto is, the beating heart of Nintendo. And so I think his courage permeates throughout the company. Obviously, his role has changed over the years, but for me, he's still that Triforce of Courage. So now we've lost the Triforce of Wisdom. We've lost the Triforce of Power with Reggie, and Wisdom, like I said, with Iwata. We just have the Triforce of Courage left. And the Switch is a very courageous console. Obviously, Iwata was a huge part of that, so he also has some courageousness to him, as we all know. And that stuff's gone now. It's just like, and new people are coming in. Doug Bowser obviously did a great job marketing the Switch and whatnot. And I mean, in 4 years, he's already the president of Nintendo of America, which speaks for itself. His work speaks for itself. But he doesn't have that personality side, that Triforce side. At least not yet. I mean, it could be a thing that happens. I hope so, because I like that kind of stuff. I like to see that kind of thing in our CEOs, our corporate stiff shirts doing more stuff to endear themselves to the fans. And I feel like Doug Bowser may be encouraged to do so, because he has really big shoes to fill. And I'm sure he's going to try, at least I think he's going to try to fill them in that way. He's not going to force it, I don't think. But I think he will try to be more like a down-to-earth, a more interacting with the fans, fanfare type of president of Nintendo. So I look forward to that. He's not that much younger than Reggie, and we don't know how long he's gonna take the job. He probably take it for a while, who knows. There's been a lot of change over the last 4 years at Nintendo. I mean, the Wii U was commercial failure, so there was a lot of stress and strain that went along with that. Iwata passed in 2015, so he was obviously no longer the president. Then they brought in, what was his name for a little while? Can't think of his name for some reason. Before they brought in Furukawa, Kimishima. They brought in Kimishima, and then he was just kind of an interim. So there was his little era. And then they brought Furukawa in. So that's a lot of change at president within 3 years. And so you have that, and then you have just losing that personality that is Iwata was big, and now losing that personality that is Reggie is a big thing. So it's just a lot of change going on. Obviously, the launch of the Switch, and certain things people love about it, and certain things people don't like about it. And it's just a lot of change. Nintendo going from last to the top, So it's just been a lot of crazy change, and there's things that happen with Nintendo that I don't like. I feel like they're more about the money, it seems, this generation, because they know that Switch is selling, so they're all about maximizing their profits. Some people will argue with me about that. I don't know why. You can see the difference. It's right there. And at the end of the day, it's not the biggest thing, but it's that kind of stuff is what worries me. And then when you lose these key people, that worries me on top of that. So I'm like, I feel like I'm worried. I have the anxiety that the heart of Nintendo the core of Nintendo will change. Obviously, you know, everybody's gonna say, "Oh, the games, that's all that matters." That's great. You're right. The games, I don't think that's all that matters, but they are a big part of what matters. But if, you know, they continue to make good games, great games, that'll be a big part of making me alleviate some of this anxiety. But what they have done that I haven't liked, and now, you know, losing another major figure like this just gives me anxiety. You know, I'm a little worried about the future, what it's going to bring. I think the future of Nintendo, you know, doing well in the market and all that stuff is fine, but it's just like the endearing thing that, you know, really strongly makes me a Nintendo fan. That kind of stuff was brought by the people of Nintendo as well as the products. So some people may not care about that stuff, but for me, that is a part of it to me as well. So it's just like, where are we gonna go? Hopefully things will work themselves out. You know, we'll get new interesting people like Koizumi. Like, I feel like he could definitely be one of those people, but the fact that he doesn't speak English kind of how do I put it? Not a wall, but it's kind of a wedge. You know, it's like you can't quite get there with him because you're listening to his translator all the time, so you're not really getting all of his personality. But you can see it in his movements and stuff. But I wish either that I could speak Japanese or that he could speak English, or, you know, would learn or try. It's not an easy thing, that, especially coming from Japanese, to learn it. It's tough. I get it. Awada's English wasn't the best. He worked at it obviously really hard. You know, Koizumi, I don't think he'll probably do that. We'll see what happens. I love my Switch. I'm very excited for what's coming. Obviously it has issues that I would like addressed, and I feel like they're starting to do that a little bit. We won't get into that in this video. This is about Reggie retiring and how I feel about the whole overallness of it. So yeah, well, I guess we'll just see what's gonna happen. How are you guys feeling? Did you even think about any of this stuff I talked about? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts? I actually do care. A lot of people say, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below, and they never reply to anybody. And they say, swear up and down, I care about what you guys think. But they're either not reading the comments, or they're just not replying for whatever reason, because they're not replying to your replies that they ask for. I think it's strange. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, and you'll see me down there replying to you guys and talking to you and interacting with you. Yeah, Reggie's gone, man. Well, anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time. Peace.